was told to deliver this message.
Assalamu alaikum, family. It's your brother Landon X. This is Nation Town TV Live. And today we're going to talk about money, about getting that bread. Now, actually, we're going to talk about economics. A little bit of a difference. We're going to talk about it. The economic blueprint, specifically and generally. Let's get it.
I was told to deliver this message.
Three-o.
Assalamu alaikum, family. It's your brother Landon X, and this is Nation Town TV Live. And as I said, we're going to get into economics, the economic blueprint, to be right and exact. But let me just go ahead and start off in the proper fashion. Shout out to everybody chiming in. But as always, we're going to start off in that proper fashion. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who mercifully appeared to us in the person of Master W. Fard Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever. I further bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. And when I say that Muhammad is his messenger, I'm speaking of none other than the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, as the minister says, that great preacher of freedom, justice, and equality. And I would know nothing of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and nothing of Master Fard Muhammad if it were not for the divine leadership, teaching, and guidance of this wonderful brother right here, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And in those three great names, I greet you in the words of peace, using the language that we spoke long before we knew anything about the grafted, bastardized language called English. And it's also the language that we spoke long before we knew anything about the grafted bastard that taught us that language. And I'm not just offending him. I mean bastard literally. A bastard is usually someone who doesn't have a proper relationship with their biological father. And since we are the natural father of that beast, and we don't seem to have a very good relationship, I think that qualifies them as a bastard. And in those three great names, again, I greet you in the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Shout out to everybody chiming in. As you can see from the caption, we are going to be dealing with the economic blueprint. We will not be on long, but if it be the will of Allah, we do intend to be on strong. But again, shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, Brother Adam, Brother Antonio. All praises are due to Allah. But before we get too far into it, I want to let you know that this is, of course, brought to you by NationTownStore.com. NationTownStore.com, and also doforself.net. And I'd be remiss 90 years deep if I did not grant everybody watching a happy Savior's Day. This is Savior's Day 2021. Make no mistake, we will be recognizing and celebrating this wonderful day that bears witness to a beautiful day that happened in the month of February 26th, 1877, when this wonderful individual right here, who grew into the attributes of Almighty God, Allah himself. And then in 1930, he made himself known here in the United States, and the rest is absolutely history and prophecy, if we but understood. So let's get right into it. Also, keep in mind, to all my Nation Town Store family, shout out to everybody. We've already rolled this out via email, and we've gotten a lot of support from it. But we'll also have a special coupon code for NationTownStore.com, 21% commemorating Savior's Day 2021, 21% off all NationTownStore.com products this week only. It expires this weekend, so you better get on it. Enter the following coupon code at checkout. Real simple, SD 2021. SD 2021. Make sure you plug in that coupon code and get your hookup, your Nation Town hookup. But let's speaking of hookup, let's hook up with this topic. Of course, again, hit us with your questions and comments as we go. I'm really trying to make these videos shorter, but you know, when you're dealing with the salvation of the Aboriginal people in the wilderness of North America, it's kind of hard to break it down to a sound bite. But we're going to get through this. But hit us with your questions and comments, and we will definitely try to get to it. And of course, as always, feel free to show your love to Nation Town TV by donating to our Cash App fund, which is $Nation Town, which a percentage of that goes directly to the Yes Ma'am program, a meal and a message, which is what the MAM stands for, where we provide healthy meals, PPE, and personal care products to hundreds of families throughout the Los Angeles area. And inshallah, we'll be able to do it soon, even outside of the Los Angeles area. And at this point, we'll go ahead and go forward with the party. Get the party started, as they used to say back in the day. I'm a little older than I look. I remember them days. All praises due to Allah. But let's get to it. First of all, we are dealing with the economic blueprint, as I promised on the last episode this past weekend, Sunday, that we would dig into it. But before we get into the particulars of the actual Nation of Islam's economic program, let's first dig into why this is important and why we can't just jump into it. But first, what we got to do is diagnose our current condition as black people and Aboriginal people in the wilderness of North America. And you know, my name is Brother Landon X, and that X that you see on the Brothers in the Nation of Islam's name, first of all, we all earned an X at some point. It's kind of like a degree, a college degree. We don't all carry it. You know, you don't carry a college degree around, but we all have to get it by reciting our student enrollment and becoming a registered member of the Nation of Islam. You probably read Autobiography of Malcolm X or saw the movie, and the only real explanation he ever taught was the fact that it stands for the X as for the unknown in mathematics. Well, he kind of skipped a step on that, because that is true. But if you remember back in elementary, the first time you saw an X in mathematics was the X for multiplication, which deals with us duplicating ourselves and what we call getting the dead and bringing them to the delivering the 17 million or more dead to the Lamb of God. But another deeper meaning for it is that X is used in medical coding. If you see HX on medical billing or coding, that means the family history or the personal history of the patient. If you see FX, that means the family history. If you see, something like DX, that means the diagnosis history of that person. When you see RX, like you see on the outside of a lot of drugstores, that means the actual prescription, which is a Latin word. The R stands for a Latin word, recipere, which is where you get prescription for. So let's diagnose why, first of all, our current condition and why a economic blueprint is needed. Because first and foremost, the interesting thing about the day we live, this is a hell of a time to be alive. But when you're looking at it strictly from the Aboriginal man and woman standpoint, family, there's something that kind of raises a white flag. Y'all know how we do it. We don't like to say red flag, because as you can see in the top right-hand corner of your screen, the red flag is the flag of the nation. So I don't want to put a negative connotation on a red flag. I know it's probably a Damu watching this or recovered or rehabilitated Damu or Paru watching this that might agree with that as well. But let's use white flag. We have a white flag that comes up when you look at our current condition as Aboriginal people. Because here's the facts. It is true that Black and Aboriginal people have never had access to capital more than they do today. We've never had more money than we do today. We've never had more education. There are more Black men and Black women with college degrees than there ever has been in the history of our sojourn in the Western Hemisphere. In fact, Black women, I saw a study that proved that Black women are the most educated demographic in America, period. That's above Asian women, that's above Caucasian, that's above anybody else. So we got the education, we got a little bank account, but why is it that our communities still look like this? You ever wondered that? How is it that we can have more money, more access to education? You see us in the halls of Congress. You see us in the Senate. We've even seen ourselves in the White House. We've seen, I'm not sure where the vice president lives. I think they got a little house over to the side that the vice president lives. To my understanding, they don't live in the White House with the president, I'm sure. But wherever the vice president currently lives, we have a woman, so-called of color, in the White House. So we're getting all these positions. We got Black girl power. We got, Black men doing big things. We're dominating sports and industries that we weren't even allowed in once upon a time. That's kind of what we do. You let us in the door, we dominate it. We take it over. you know. So why is it our communities still look like that? You go through our communities anywhere in America, Detroit, Chicago, LA, Atlanta, smaller cities, Little Rock, Flint, Michigan, Gary, Indiana, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Omaha, Nebraska, Tulsa, Oklahoma, my hometown, San Diego. You can find this. Even though we never had more education, never had more money. What's the problem? There's a disconnect there. There's a disconnect. Well, let's look at some actual facts before we go any further. Shout out to everybody chiming in. Make sure y'all hit us up, questions and comments. Let's look at some actual facts to back up what I just said. I don't want to just throw that, upside your head and just expect you to believe it. Besides, I may be a little light brown skin, but I'm too black for you to believe me on face value. So let's look at some facts. With respect to, these are actual facts from a study. With respect to home ownership, unemployment, and incarceration, America has failed to deliver any progress for African Americans over the last 5 decades. In these areas, their situation has either failed to improve relative to whites or has worsened. Let that sink in. In 2017, the black unemployment rate was 7.5%, up from 6.7% in 1968. Remember the education thing. We've never had more degrees. Remember, that's the old thing. Go to school, get an education, and get a job. That was actually supposed to be, this is slightly off topic, but that was supposed to be the name of Kanye West's third album. When he first came out, I remember seeing him on Rap City. He said his first album was going to be called College Dropout. His second album was going to be called Late Registration. No, it was going to be the name of his fourth album. First was going to be College Dropout, then Late Registration, then Graduation, and then Good Ass Job. He never put out the Good Ass Job album. It's like his version of what was it, Detox or whatever that Dr. Dre was supposed to put out. But anyway, that's what we're all taught. Go to school, get a job, get a good job, be a success, be a doctor and a lawyer. But look at this. Let's go back to it. Let's bring that back up. Plain and simple, right there toward the bottom. It says in 2017, the black unemployment rate was 7.5%. up from 6.7% in 1968. So there were more employed black people back when we were chanting and holding hands and doing sit-ins and protesting. Our ancestors that we think we so much stronger and smarter than, they had more jobs than us. And it says it's still roughly twice the white unemployment rate. In 2015, the black home ownership rate was just over 40%, virtually unchanged since 1968. 1968. Now check this out. Family wealth. The typical black family had almost no wealth in 1968. Now, here's a little bit of good news. Today, that figure is about 6 times larger, at 17,000. But it is still not that far from zero when you consider that families typically draw on their wealth for larger expenses. Things cost more, such as meeting basic needs over the course of retirement, paying for their children's college education, putting a down payment on a house, or coping with a job loss or medical crises. Over the same period, the wealth of the typical white family almost tripled from a much higher initial level in 2016. The median African American family had only 10.2% of the wealth of the median white family, which was 17.4 compared to 171,000. See, that's a snapshot of real generational wealth and what it looks like and what it does not look like. So we got to ask ourselves. We got to really ask ourselves, what happened? What's going on? I mean, hell, man, go down your Facebook timeline. Go down your Instagram timeline. You go down your Instagram timeline right now, I guarantee you, if you did it for 5 minutes, let's say you were an alien. They just dropped a camera or something on Mars the other day. Let's say you was from Mars. You didn't know nothing about America, didn't know nothing about planet Earth. But all you had was a cell phone in your hand and an Instagram account. And you went down a black person's Instagram timeline. You would swear that black people were just balling out of control because everybody living their best life. Everybody is talking generational wealth, which is a good thing. I'd rather see us talking generational wealth and investments and owning land and all of that before talking about a rap beef or a celebrity gossip. But it's kind of just front out there like everybody's a millionaire. Everybody has all this money and all this, and we're all focused on, okay, but what's going on with the community? Because that's usually the first thing that changes when real wealth comes into play. Let's look at that word wealth for a minute. Let's look at the etymology. Y'all know how we do on Nation Town TV. We go deep into the word because just like the black man himself, the English language has been destroyed, tampered with, and stepped on. So we got to go deep into the etymology or the root of it. The word wealth has an English origin in 2 words. It's rooted in 2 words. Well, which means what it looks like, well, when you feel well, when you're doing well. And will, that's the older one, will. What does that mean, will? Let's take a look. Because that will word is quite interesting. Let's look at it. This is one of the root words of the word wealth. In fact, it's the first 4 letters of the word wealth. It says that which is best for someone or something. Something that's best for you, that's better for you. You know, when you read the Holy Quran, you see that combination of words a few times, that something is better for you. So when we're talking generational wealth, are we really talking about something that's better for our community or just better for you personally? Hey, listen, man, if you're the kind of person where you don't give a damn about what's going on with black people, you don't care what the hood looking like, you just doing you, it's all about you, it's all about, even though if that's your mentality, what you're going to end up doing is taking your money to somebody else's community that's going to help that people's community and help their schools and help their economics. So either way, you're going to help somebody. But if that's your mentality, then man, you can go ahead and log off. This ain't for you. This ain't for you. You know, assalamu alaikum, happy Savior's Day. Be safe out there. Stay out the way, as they say these days. Stay out the way. Have a good time. We're talking to black people that consider themselves woke, that consider themselves conscious, or consider themselves having a love in their heart for their people. I'm talking to y'all. Let's deal with why the community still looks like this, in spite of everybody on a generational wealth kick, in spite of everybody having a college degree, in spite of everybody, making more money than we ever made before, more access to money than ever before. Let's find out. It's a really simple process. Real simple reason why we don't have real generational wealth. Real generational wealth. Not that vibe that they talking about. We talking about a real thing. Well, here's the thing. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad always teaches on pooling our. Is that correct? We got to pool our resources. Now, I noticed something on social media. Our Supreme Wisdom talks a lot about how important spelling is. For example, English lesson number C1. And sometimes I see people misspell that when they mention that phrase. When they mention pool resources, they spell it P-U-L-L, like pulling something. Like Scorpion on Mortal Kombat, get over here. No, that's not what he's talking about. It's pool, P-O-O-L. just like a swimming pool. A pool is whenever you have a bowl or a bucket or a crater that can hold water or any liquid, and then you pour liquids into that crater or that bucket, and what it does, it pools in that crater a bucket. Now, why is that important? Because that explains why we have more money than we ever had, more education than we ever had, more life coaches than we ever had, more people telling you, giving you all these ingenious ideas on how to make money and get generational wealth. But the hood is still in the terrible condition that it's in. It's because of that pooling the resource part, there's a problem. Because when you pool something, it has to be in a contraption or bucket or crater that can actually hold water. You ever heard the phrase or terminology, that doesn't hold water? Well, let's look deeper into that. The Aboriginal man and woman's current economic state does not hold water. We have a leaky bucket problem. As you can see in this diagram, you see money being poured into a bucket. And it's going into that bucket, but what's wrong with the bucket? Somebody talk back to me. What's wrong with that bucket? Wa alaikum salam, Brother Hakeem, I see you. The bucket has holes in it. What are the holes in the black economic bucket? It's quite clear, family. The holes in the black economic bucket is the way we spend our money. Consumer spending. Also consumerism, which is the science of everything that deals with consumers. It's the way we spend our money. That's what built Black Wall Street. That's what built the 60 to 200 plus towns, black towns after slavery. It wasn't gimmicks and tricks and just, serial entrepreneurship. It was need and spending, and the proper spending of money and the recycling of the little bit of money that we had, the small amount. You know what? I'm going to let the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talk to you about it, because he's going to break down something real quick about how black people, first of all, we are habitual consumers. That's not the problem. It's not like we just all taking what little money we making and we sitting on it like Jewish people. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. We spending a lot of money. $1.3 trillion in buying power and rising. But we're such habitual bad consumers. We don't understand the power of our consuming. And we have some psychological issues, some real issues. Almost like a person who was abused as a child. So it starts to tamper with all of their relationships as they get older. But listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan break down how the black and Aboriginal man and woman became such terrible consumers.
Guess what? When they saw us building 60 towns, do you know they helped to destroy all 60 of those towns? They began to set up a series of laws that came to be known as Jim Crow laws. Their purpose was to return blacks as close as possible to the state of slavery that we had previously been in. And most important, to force us back into the cotton fields to keep the cotton-based economy from collapsing. Under these wicked laws, money in the hands of blacks was treated as though it was a weapon of mass white destruction. Whites made it illegal to sell property to blacks, and blacks were forbidden by law to sell their own farm products without written permission from a Caucasian, thus criminalizing black business enterprise. We couldn't get justice in the court system because they came up with a law that said Negro testimony would not be accepted unless that testimony was verified by a white man. A white man could walk into your home, take whatever he wanted, including your cotton or corn harvest or your daughter or your wife, and we had no legal resource. All of this was done, and it was not even considered a crime. If blacks tried to save and invest their earnings, their money could be confiscated. So under Abraham Lincoln, they established something like the Freedmen's Bureau. Notice the past participle of the verb to free. Freed man. That's not something that we did for ourselves. That's something that somebody else did for us. We never freed ourselves. We were freed by them, and therefore we still singing, we shall overcome. You're not free until you know the truth that will set you free. So, under the Freedmen's Bureau, we set up the Freedmen's Bank. Of course, all of this came from Abe Lincoln to encourage and guide the economic development of the newly emancipated slaves. It operated just 9 years, 1865 to 1874. It had 37 branches in 17 states. Black Civil War veterans, farmers, churches, charities all opened a total of 480,000 accounts with assets worth nearly $4 million. In today's currency, that would be 5.8 billion in today's dollars. Now, when blacks had that kind of money, we could buy all the land that money could buy. Then the bloodsuckers descended and drained the bank of every last penny, leaving tens of thousands of its black depositors in economic ruin. There was no deposit insurance, so we were left with an almost total distrust of the banking system. So between government trickery and the widespread cheating by retail merchants and a legal system that prohibited blacks from complaining, blacks began their so-called American citizenship, economically exploited and badly crippled. Since this is Black History Month, W.E.B. Du Bois estimated that in time from the so-called Emancipation Proclamation in 1865 to the end of the 1800s, 3/4 of the wages due to blacks, that 75 cents of every dollar, was simply stolen from us. Blacks responded to this oppression in what appeared to be a very logical way by becoming fast spenders. So the moment we got our money, we knew that if we could quickly turn our wages into some commodity, they had a better chance of seeing value for their labor. They couldn't trust banks to hold it, so every Friday we spent all our wages with the overpriced merchants who left us with nothing. We wanted to use our money wisely, but the economic and legal system punished us when we did. So our response to this wickedness was logical, but it set in motion a damaging spend-as-you-get-it mindset that continues to this very day. Our adjustment to this evil has created in us what has become a greater evil. We've become a consumer nation now where everybody else is benefiting. So instead of allowing the robbery to make us wiser in protecting our money, we allowed ourselves to become consumers all the way from then to now. They took away our savings, and now they made us give it back to them as a consumer. So today, you don't trust banks, you don't trust courts, you don't even trust yourselves. So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, it's very hard for an economist to plan a wise program and see his plans carried out, because the so-called American Negro's economics are controlled by our former slave masters and their children. The American dream is built on a black nightmare. So we ran away from economics because of all of the abuse and the barriers of the marketplace that forced us out of that realm. And every immigrant group finds a way to nuzzle into the black community to take from us whatever they need to build their communities and exalt themselves in the fabric of America. So all of them will fight against anybody who comes to us with an economic plan that would wrest control of the black dollar back into black hands. Don't you know 6 cents of every dollar we spend is all we spend with black business? And according to one study made by the Gazelle Index, if we double that to 12 cents, that alone would create nearly 600,000 additional jobs for black workers, and that would reduce the black unemployment rate by more than 3 points, from 13.8% to 10.6%. Don't tell me we don't have the power, we just have never used it wisely.
There it is. There it is. And just to sum it up, the minister is saying that we had a terrible experience as a people where we had put our money, and today's values would have been over $5 billion, into a white financial construct, and they fleeced them for it. So that made us to where as soon as we get money, we want to spend it. And that leads all the way up to today. Y'all have heard it before. The black dollar spends less than an hour, less than a few hours in our community, whereas every other community, their dollar is constantly circulating for days, some even months, before it leaves into another community. So we get rid of it, but that's not so much the problem. It's where it goes when we get rid of it. And then there's another psychological issue that comes with how we spend our money, and the fact that we only spend anywhere between 2 to 6% of our discretionary income with black-owned businesses, even though small businesses employ the majority of people in this country. In fact, black-owned businesses are the #1 employers of black people, second only to the federal and state level government. So other than the DMV and the courthouse and what do they call it? The federal organization that does all the the people that check your bags and stuff at the airport. Those government institutions are really the #1 employers of black people, but those are government institutions. Second to that, no other group in economics and in the corporate world can claim to employ more black people than black-owned businesses, and we only give them a small fraction of our dollar, less than a dime of our dollar. And if we just increase that, we could create the same level of jobs that we beg some Caucasian or Caucasian-minded politician every 4 years. We could do it for ourselves. But here's another mental issue that we have. We believe white ice is colder. Let's just call a spade a spade. We think we feel better about ourselves when we spend money with our enemy. We'll brag that we went into some boutique on a side of town that nobody wants to see your raggedy black behind unless you serving them. The police don't want to see you there. The owners of the place don't want to see you there. The other Non-black customers don't want to see you there, but we'll go in there, get mistreated, and then feel good about walking out with merchandise because we feel like we got a little bit of whiteness on our back now, a little bit of whiteness in our pocket. We feel a little bit whiter, I guess, when we put our money in the Caucasian's pocket. But he said, the minister mentioned something that shook me to my core. He said that money in a black man or woman's hand becomes a weapon of mass white destruction. Ooh, the minister said that money in our hand can be a weapon of mass white destruction, and that's why they push their products so hard on you. And that's why they know that if you start to, that's why every leader that they really leaned on and or eliminated or tried to eliminate taught black economics, supporting your own. That's why Marcus Garvey had to go. That's why they conspired to kill Malcolm, because he was the best student at that time of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's what they don't like. They don't care about you walking around with a gun and a beret and a leather jacket and acting tough. They don't care about that. When you start talking about separation, real separation, then it comes a problem. Now, I gave you the shout out to everybody chiming in. I see y'all. Sister Josette, all praises due to Allah. Brother J Mo, I see you. Now, I gave y'all the leaky bucket problem. But let me, maybe that was too, it was probably too intellectual for some of the people. We like to be clear with what we're talking about. I'm gonna give you another example. Before I give you that example, let's go over how we actually spend our money. Those holes in that bucket, let's look at what those holes actually are. Here's just a snapshot. You got tobacco, $3.3 billion. Now, these numbers are about 10 years old, so I guarantee you all of these numbers are actually higher now. Tobacco, we spend about $3.3 billion with a B. Whiskey, wine, and beer, $3 billion with a B. Non-alcoholic beverages, that's your soft drinks and whatnot, $2.8 billion with a B. Leisure and spending, kicking it, $3.1 billion with a B. Toys, games, and pets, PlayStations, all that good stuff, $3.5 billion with a B. Telephone services, we ain't handling business. Hell, we got the highest unemployment rate, so who are we calling? Who are we talking to? We're not supporting our black-owned businesses, so even if you have a black-owned business, ain't too many people calling you on average. So who you talking to? We talking and we gossiping, we slack talking, and we talking about nothing. We talking about celebrity gossip and, hip-hop beef, and we spending $18.6 billion on that. Gifts, $10 billion. We will not sacrifice Christmas. We got to give our kids, our baby goats, a good Christmas, but won't tell them nothing about Jesus. Charitable contributions, $17.3 billion. Now, that's a good thing, but whose charities? Salvation Army, FEMA, all these organizations that don't do a damn thing for us. Then healthcare, $23.6 billion. We have to pay that because of how we eat and how we live. We are the unhealthiest people on the earth, black people in the wilderness of North America. And unfortunately, when it comes to books, we only spend $321 million. That's the only M on the board. Million with an M. Imagine that. But let me give you another analogy as to why we have more education, more money. We got more information thanks to social media. We got plenty of brothers and sisters every day popping up saying, hey, man, buy my program, I'll make you rich. But our communities are in the same condition. Now, I gave you the hole in the bucket analogy. Let me get a little bit more savage with it. Imagine for a moment, use your imagination. Imagine for a moment that a real optimistic prostitute had a dream. And she said, you know what? Tonight I'm going to put these heels on and this short skirt, and I'm going to work so hard. I'm going to go out there tonight and I'm going to make generational wealth. I'm going to lean in so many cars. I'm going to hop in so many back seats. I'm going to get it in so hard. Every night, I ain't taking no days off. And I'm going to get as much and make as much money as I possibly can. Now, given the fact that the sex trade, unfortunately, is one of the most profitable things in America and really in the world, but especially in America, the problem is most prostitutes, at the end of the day, whether they made $1,000 or $10, they end up giving that money to a pimp. And I specifically chose the image of a white pimp because that's exactly what we do. We go out there, we work hard just like that prostitute. We're skilled just like that prostitute. We don't nobody work harder than the black man. Even today, you can miss me with that we lazy stuff. Can't nobody compare to the sacrifice and hard work of the black man over the last 400 years. We work hard. If you see us successful at anything, that means we work 10 times harder than anybody else. But you know what? This is a fake picture of a white pimp. Let me give you a real picture of a white pimp. With all due respect to the dearly departed. But you could also throw Bill Gates in there. You can also throw Ralph Lifshitz, Ralph Lauren. You can also throw any other white corporate billionaire in this picture. And those are the pimps that we pay after being on our knees all damn day. That's why the community, the ghetto, is still the ghetto, even though we got more money and more education than we ever had. That's why. Because we working all day and all night, and we come home and we pull that wad of money out our bra and say, here you go, daddy. Ain't you so proud of me? But this all takes place at Macy's. This takes place at Starbucks. This takes place at Foot Locker. This takes place in wherever your favorite mall is. This takes place now digitally, online through Amazon. That's the leaky bucket. There's no circulation in our community of our money. Listen, in the Nation of Islam, some of you may know or may not know, we have something in our teachings that deals with God, where we say that there is no mystery God. We don't believe in a spook God. Now, last time I checked, God is at the top of the chain, right? I mean, he's God. He's the supreme being. That also includes the creator of the heavens and the earth. Master Fard Muhammad is the supreme being. He's not the creator, but he's the supreme being. So if you don't believe in a mystery God, then that nullifies you from believing in a mystery anything else that's under God. Like America says, one nation under God. You can't not believe in a mystery God and then believe in a mystery economy, mystery finances, mystery community development. It's just going to happen if you just vote for the right person, if you pray really, really hard. If you go out and make a bunch of money, but you spend all of that money in somebody else's community, somehow your community is going to benefit. How? You're not even in your community. First chance you get, you move out of your community. But then you complain when you turn on the news and they say that 87 people got shot in that community over the weekend. You say, them niggas is crazy. I don't know what's going on in the world. You find out that the school in that neighborhood is failing so bad that the state government is threatening to take over the school. That's the story of every school I went to until I went to college. They called them, where I'm from, they called it at-risk schools. And we thought it was something in the building, something in the bricks, something in the water fountains. They changed the name of my high school 2 or 3 times just while I was there. Just in 4 years, they changed the name 2 or 3 times, thinking maybe it's in the name. No. It's in the fact that the best students that lived in our community, most of them, they got bussed out to other schools or magnet schools. And then there's an economic situation in the community that makes it hard. You got black students who wake up in the morning and they got grown folks' issues on their mind. They're not thinking just, okay, I got to pass this test, I got to turn in my homework. They wake up and they got to help their little sister and their little brother get up and get ready for school. Either because they living in a broken home or their mother or their father are working so damn hard that they can't do it. We got major problems that can all be rooted in spirituality and economics. But let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Let's deal with that word economy. Because we keep talking about generational wealth, money, get the bag, get the bag. Nobody's talking about economy yet. I'm waiting on a rapper to start talking, to use that word so we can start seeing it more on Instagram. We got to get, come on, Jay, somebody holler at Jay-Z and just slip that word into his ear. So his next album, his next song, he can say economy. So we can all start talking economy. What is economy? Because economy ain't what you think it is, or what you may not think it is. Let's talk about economy. This is economy. An economy is the large set, check this out, of interrelated production and consumption, same as consumer, consumption activities that aid in determining how scarce resources are allocated. In an economy, the production and consumption of goods and services are used to fulfill the needs of those living and operating within it. Let me try to translate that, make it very plain. Economics is all about consumption. It's not even about how much money you make. It's about consumption. Every president in the United States is judged by the time they walk out the White House for the last time. Their presidency is ultimately judged on the economy. Even if revenues and people's salaries went up or went down. Like Bill Clinton is praised as a great economic president, even though wages flatlined through his presidency. But people were spending a lot of money in America. Therefore, jobs were being created. So he's considered an economic success. Like I said, your black Wall Streets, all your black towns, they were built not on just entrepreneurship. They were born on a science of consumerism. How did they spend their money? They had no choice but to spend their money, recycling it over and over again in their community. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going, family. Shout out to everybody chiming in. We see you. We see you. We won't be on much longer, but I do have to touch on these points before we get out of here. And let's talk about this, because right now we got something where there's this, like I mentioned, man, it's this get rich quick, get the bag, and it's being disguised as generational wealth. That's the word they put on it, but it's really what they used to say on all them infomercials at 2 o'clock in the morning: get rich quick, get rich quick, get rich. And now we say, get the bag, get the bag. And we think that that's the key to community development. Now, I mean, hell, it's a good thing if people are making more money. But like I said, black people, as the statistics that I just showed you, black people are making more money than they ever did. Black people right now are about 800 times richer, including inflation. This is not ignoring inflation. We are about 800 times richer right now than the same black people who built those 60 to 200 all black economically successful towns. So why does our communities look like the way they do when we have more money and more education? It's all about economics, not about just making more money. In fact, that mentality of just get the bag, get the bag, get the bag, get the bag, that's really a ghetto version of what your boy used to push back in the 80s. I call him Mr. 666, Ronald Wilson Reagan, because he had 6 letters in all 3 of his names. President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, he had something he called Trickle-Down Economics. And I mean, he ran this game on the world, on America. He had poor folks believing in this. And his idea was this, that if the richest people just got richer, or if just more people got richer, then that would automatically improve the economy. Now, coming out your mouth or just writing it down, that makes sense. Okay, if everybody got more money, then bam, we all balling. Technically. If that's the end result, then yeah, absolutely, everything's cool. But given the fact that the poverty line is so low and the poverty rate is so high, how are you going to make those people raise up in their tax brackets? So Ronald Reagan felt like if we cut taxes, if we created basically rich people welfare, corporate welfare, and allowed rich people to keep more of their money, that would improve the economy. That kind of thinking is what you see right now amongst black people. If we just go out and just get more money, get more money, get more money, keep more money, keep more money, get more money, get more money, then and that'll bring everything up. And that's not true. In fact, I was watching something on YouTube where this white guy broke down the truth of the fact that trickle-down economics does not work. This is what they believe, that the people on the top get more money and it literally trickles down like it's raining on top of a mountain. It'll just trickle down. But here's the problem. The richest people in the world and in America only spend 30% of their money, tops. And they save the rest. They don't even, a lot of their money, they don't even invest. 30% of the money. So that's the problem. That's what keeps trickle-down economics from working, is the fact that they're not really spending that money. They're keeping it. They're hoarding it. The Holy Quran talks about those that hoard their riches. Middle class spends 98% of their money. We almost have to. Really, we only have to spend about 60 to 70%, but we spend 98%. And then the poorest people in America spend 100% of their money. Really, they only have to spend about 90%. But that extra 10% is those new infrareds that's going to drop. The other 10% is that new PlayStation that's going to drop. The other 10% is that shirt, that handbag that you really can't afford. That's where it is. So the people who really need that money, who could really affect the economy, that's why you see these stimulus checks coming out. Because they want these 100%ers and these 98%ers to go out there and spend that money and help their economy, because they know where it's going. They know you ain't going to a black-owned business. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you. All praises due to Allah. Let me say this, family. I got to say this, and this is going to hurt some feelings. I not so humbly apologize in advance. Listen, man. A lot of times we watch movies like, the Harriet Tubman movie, Birth of a Nation, Nat Turner. We hear about the struggles of the civil rights movement. Some of y'all might hear about the story of Black Wall Street. You might say, oh, man, if I was at Black Wall Street and them crackers would have came, man, I would have fought them to the death, as if they didn't fight, which is an absolute falsehood. We touched on that on the previous episode. They had a militia and they fought back. That's why they had to drop bombs. And then you look at Harriet Tubman. You look at Nat Turner. You say, oh, if I was back then, I would have been right there with Harriet. If I was back there with Nat Turner, I would have been right there I would have been chopping heads off right next to him. Well, let me say this. If that's how you feel, all praises due to Allah. I would like to think that I would roll with Nat, that I would roll with Harriet. I like to think that I would have been in that militia in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I like to do that. But let me say this. If you have a problem spending your money in the blackest way possible, I don't even really like saying support black business because it sounds too much like charity. But if you have a problem, if when people say, hey, why don't you spend more than 6%, 5%, 2% of your money on black-owned businesses, and you say, they don't have everything I like, and it's so far away, and the customer service, When you start talking like that, I guarantee you, if you lived in the days of Harriet, if you lived in the days of Nat Turner, if you lived in the days of Black Wall Street, you would have had that same energy. Harriet would have been banging on your door. Let's go. I don't know. Where we gonna go? We just going north. We getting the hell up out of here. You mean we gonna be out in the cold? You mean they gonna have hound dogs chasing us? We might have to spend the night in a swamp. Nat banging on your door. Nat Turner, come on, we're going to cut some white folks' heads off. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What they do to me? Which white folks? Where they at? I guarantee, because there's no way that you could spend a couple of cents more on a product. Inconvenience yourself just a little bit by not getting the products, the exact products that you want right there at that moment. You can't tell me that that inconvenience is too much for you, but you would have been spending the night in the swamp with Harriet Tubman. I'm sorry. I can't buy it. I can't buy it. I just cannot buy it. All praise is due to Allah. We're going to be out of here in a minute. But let me say this before we get up out of here. And shout out to, to Sister Harriet. Sister Harriet Tubman. Another one, Toussaint L'Ouverture in Haiti, when he banged on Napoleon and the French. Don't tell me you would have been there with Toussaint L'Ouverture, swinging that sword, banging on the French. But you won't shop at your sister's store or your brother's shop because you can get it 10% cheaper at Publix and at Ralph's and at Kroger and Piggly Wiggly and oh, it's not, they don't have the organics that you want like Whole Foods. Man, miss me with that. But let's talk about the economic blueprint as given to us by the Nation of Islam. It's inspired by none other than the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Let's talk about what it means and what it represents. And we're going to get up out of here. Muhammad's economic blueprint will allow us to help ourselves in the battle to create jobs and end poverty and want. Under this wise economic plan, we can now use the collective power of our dollars to build a future for ourselves with 5% a day. 5 cents a day. Let me say that again, 5 cents a day. Listen, I'm thinking on today's GDP and inflation. It's 5 cents a day. This is what the economic program, the economic blueprint is asking of you. 35 cents a week. $1.40. You can't even think of something that costs 35 cents no more. Think of something that's 35 cents. $1.40 a month, $18.20 a year, multiplied by the 16 million wage earners. There's about 50 million black people in America, but only about 16 million of us have jobs that are wage earners. Would give us, that little bit of money would give us $291 million in 1 year. Everyone can give 35 cents a week as an investment in the future. Donate now and see what our pennies, nickels, dimes can accomplish. Now you can go to economicblueprint.org. That's economicblueprint.org. Hopefully our executive producer is watching and on her job and can post that in the actual comments, economicblueprint.org. I'm not telling you this because, oh, if you donate, I'm going to get a percentage of it and I'm going to make some generational wealth for myself. No, I'm in this for my nation and for my people. So go and hit it up, man. Drop $20 for the year and get it out the way. And then next year, do the same thing, $20 and keep it moving. And then pass the word. That way we'll have a national treasure. We'll have a national bank account set up, ran by the nation. Now, what does that pay for? Now, like I said, donate as little as 5 cents a day. We'll securely process your donation and provide you a record of your transaction. Your donation, along with others, will be safeguarded in the National Treasury. Collectively, our donations can grow to purchase different projects and benefit us all. But check this out. What we're looking to actually do is what we're already doing, but just at a larger scale. We're talking about schools. We talking about school systems, top-notch schools, those good schools that you talk about. You really just saying white schools and white neighborhoods, but we talking about black good schools in your community. Teaching our children like they should be treated. The farms that we already have, getting more land. We already have thousands of acres of land where we produce organic, pure, wholesome food, staple goods that we can use, that we need, that's healthy for us. That's really why COVID-19 is ravishing America, especially black people. It's because we were already unhealthy before COVID. It also would fund our own black-owned, 100% black-owned entertainment platforms like NFA Studios, which already exists and is already producing top-notch content. It would also help when our people are hit with a natural disaster. Did you know of the hundreds of thousands of dollars that the Nation of Islam donated to the city of New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina? Or the fact that Minister Farrakhan donated a $150,000 water purification system to Haiti when they were hit with that earthquake a few years ago? Just here in Los Angeles, and this has been duplicated all over the nation. The Nation of Islam has been involved with food giveaways where we have fed literally thousands of families just in Los Angeles. These are the kind of programs that the economic blueprint is for. We're not waiting on you to give us that money and give the nation that money, that little $20 a year, $20 a year. I bet you spent $20 at least 20 times last year and you can't even remember it. $20. Now check this out. Some of you might see that and be like, oh man, I ain't giving my money. I don't know. I want to know where the money gonna go. Where your little 35 cents a week gonna go? Who gonna steal your 35 cents? I know. Times is hard out there, brother. I understand. So if you don't want to do that, there's another side to the economic blueprint. This is just a structured, organized plan to create a real black economy for our people. But if you don't want to do that, then do it individually. Do it for yourself. What do I mean by that? Look around your house right now. You know what? Do you know that there's not a shortage of black-owned businesses in America? There's not. There's not a shortage of black-owned businesses, not at all, not in the furthest imagination. There's no shortage of black-owned businesses. But look around your home. Where are you getting your personal care products that you buy all the time from your enemy? The same enemy that you want to recognize that your life matters. The same enemy that you argue back and forth with about all lives matter and black lives matter. You go to him every day for your soap, for your shampoo, for your laundry detergent, for your toothbrushes, for your food, for beans, for produce, for your toilet paper, for your paper towels, for your home cleaning products. You go to him for that. And everything I just named, not only are there black-owned businesses that sell and distribute and create those things, but the Nation of Islam produces and sells all those things, such as nationtownstore.com. Let me give you an example of one of our top Nationtown supporters and viewers. I'm going to put them on blast righteously. This is a post from Brother Hakeem Muhammad, one of our top Nationtown supporters. Strong brother, beautiful brother. I saw this on my timeline. We didn't ask him to do this. Nobody asked. He just, when you really about this separation life, you brag different. You brag different. He says, Assalamu alaikum. By setting an example and purchasing black-owned products, we can influence others just by demonstrating it. What this picture is, this is a picture of all nation or black-owned products. He got that oil from Nation. Apologize for that interruption, family. He got all of that from black-owned business, even the brush. We don't sell the brush, but he got the brush from a black-owned. You got to start looking around your own home in your everyday life. The believers in the Nation of Islam in Atlanta have their own bottled water. Yeah, got their own bottled water. And what I've been trying to do, especially in the last 7 or 8 years, I've been trying to reduce everything I can that I purchase from my enemy. Look at it like this. Everybody that's watching this and that will watch this, live or otherwise, you got an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend or ex-husband, ex-wife, somebody, an ex-friend that you don't like. The relationship ended badly, and if you saw them on fire, you wouldn't spit on them. You wouldn't urinate on them if you saw them on fire. Because they did you wrong. They probably cheated on you. And I don't want to make light of it, but they probably even put their hands on you. They might have did something really terrible to you. So you just have no love for them. And it's really a blessing that you ain't already killed them. And imagine if they came to your doorstep one day and they knocked on your door, you opened up the door, and there was your ex that you hate so much. And they had a bag of products. And they told you, hey, man, listen, I'm doing bad. I need your help. Can you please just buy some of these products from me? Help me get back on my feet. How many of you would support that ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, ex-husband that did you so wrong, cheated on you, put their hands on you, talk bad about you when y'all was together? You tell the truth. Most of y'all would laugh. First of all, you would laugh. Second of all, some of y'all will pull out your cell phone and get it on video, take a picture of it to put it on your Instagram timeline, and then you would slam the door. Some of y'all would be so petty, you'll start digging in your purse or in your wallet, acting like you about to buy something, and then laugh and slam the door in their face. Tell the truth. Well, your open enemy, who's been your enemy here in the Western Hemisphere for over 400 years, is selling stuff to you every day. The same man that took your culture, your name, your religion, called you everything but a child of God, called you a nigga, called you 3/5 of a man, broke up your families, raped your woman, destroyed your households, killed your leaders, murdered them, Malcolm, Dr. King, murdered them right there in your face, and blamed some of that on you. But every time you turn on your television, he's selling something to you. Every time you drive down the street, you look at a billboard, he's selling something to you. And then you go like a fool and you buy it, and then you brag about what you bought. Like we say on Nation Town TV, just keep that same energy with your enemy. That same energy that you would give that no good Negro that you used to mess with. All praises due to Allah. See, black economics, that's real separation. That's real separation, family. Everything else is just playing separation. Everything else, everything is like a little girl playing a tea party. Like I got some children outside right now playing. A lot of us just playing separation. We playing black power, playing generational wealth. Like a little tea party, like a little playing house. Black economics is really black power. That's how you can tell who really believes that Black Lives Matter, when they support black dollars. Now, a lot of us, and I'm going to close with this, family. Shout out to everybody chiming in. This is the woke generation, right? Everybody woke. Is that right? I learned a new word the other day that I wanted to share with the Nation Town family. Because the thing is, we're really not woke at all. And y'all have heard me say this before, but not this word. Because when you think about woke means you've opened your eyes. That's how everybody wakes up every day. Nobody, if you wake up on your feet, you need to go see somebody. You need to go talk to a professional about that. We wake up on our back, in our bed, or wherever we slept, and then our eyes open first. We might hit the snooze button about 5 or 6 times, and then we slowly, begrudgingly roll out of bed. We curse the world. We curse our job. Even if we own our own business, we curse that. We curse everything. And we sit up there and we even think about quitting our job. If we own a business, we think about selling that business because that sleep was so good. You was having such a good dream, and now you got to get up and go to work. So just waking up and opening your eyes, that's nothing. In fact, they got a word for it. What we really are, we ain't woke. We dealing with dysania. What is dysania? It's a semi-medical word. It really isn't medically recognized yet, but it isn't just about feeling sleepier than usual, which is the basic understanding of it. It is a chronic inability to get out the damn bed. Self-proclaimed sufferers can stay in bed for days on end and often experience anxiety at just the thought of getting up and doing something getting up. They can also feel a craving. Look at the word choice, craving to return to the return to bed once they have left it. Just look in the book of Exodus, those murmurers in the wilderness, telling Moses that they had it better under Pharaoh and that they'd rather be slaves under Pharaoh than to be free under Moses. It's dysania, or dysania, however you want to pronounce it. Well, I'm going to leave y'all in the best possible fashion, not only with the greetings of words and the words of peace, but I'm going to leave y'all with the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as he talks about the need of a black economy. But the beautiful part about this audio and this excerpt is that it's coming from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan back when he was the minister of Temple No. 7 in New York, and he was presiding over the weekly radio broadcast representing the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So give this a listen. I appreciate y'all hanging in there with me. I'm going to leave y'all as I greeted y'all in the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum and happy Savior's Day. Check this out.
Our subject is titled, "The Black Man Must Unite and Build a Black Economy." The Honorable Elijah Muhammad's task in America is very similar to the task of Moses in Egypt. The mission of Moses to Israel was twofold. Moses had to elevate Israel both spiritually and economically. This is also the divine mission of the prophesied man like Moses, who is in America today among the oppressed, mentally enslaved, and exploited black man. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has the twofold task of elevating the black man and woman of America both spiritually and economically. Messenger Muhammad has worked tirelessly and unceasingly for nearly 40 years to give his followers and his people a higher standard of living. His mission was and is to improve the quality of life of the black man and woman in America and throughout the world. His mission is to bring to us that heavenly life of peace, prosperity, and perpetual progress that is referred to in the scriptures as the kingdom of heaven or the hereafter. Many people in America and throughout the world have labored under the misconception that heaven or the hereafter comes after man is physically dead. This is the wrong way to understand Scripture. This kind of misinterpretation of Scripture makes a person or people careless about their present condition in hopes that a mystery God will better conditions for them after physical death. This kind of misinterpretation of Scripture robs man of the will to resist the forces that make his life miserable, and robs man of the will to put forth the necessary effort to make a better life for himself, his family, and his nation. Messenger Muhammad advises us to search carefully the pages of the Holy Quran and Bible to see if God and his prophets were describing to us a heaven or hereafter while we live, or a heaven or hereafter which comes to us after we are physically dead. Messenger Elijah Muhammad calls on the religious teachers of the so-called Negroes and the religious teachers of the Muslim world to get away from the preaching of such ignorant and slavish doctrine that man will receive heaven or the hereafter after he is physically dead. Messenger Muhammad teaches us that heaven is an elevated state or condition of this life, and the hereafter is the same. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been raised up by Allah in the midst of the mentally dead black man and woman of America to guide us into that heavenly life of peace, contentment of mind, brotherly love, prosperity, and unlimited progress. The Holy Quran is very clear concerning this matter. It is written in the Holy Quran, verily, never will Allah change the condition of a people until they change it themselves. Again, it is written in the Holy Quran that man can have nothing but what he strives for.
I was told to deliver this message.